Hello and good evening, Chicago. Welcome on back in for another episode of Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Very excited to be back with you here on this Monday evening. Finally, we hit the NBA All-Star break. I don't know who put it so late on the calendar this season. My goodness, my calendar darn near says March, but we finally made it. What's usually closer to the halfway mark of the season is past the two-thirds, darn near the three-quarters mark of the season this year, but they made it. The Bulls were well represented. DeMar DeRozan, Zach Lavine, and the GOAT made a special appearance. Michael Jordan crashing the party last night in Cleveland to a huge ovation. You know, whenever he shows up, there's always going to be conversation there. So the Bulls well represented. Now they get a few nights off before the final push. 23 games left in their season. How are the Bulls shaping up right now? Tied for the top spot in the East. Will they still be there? Are they going to get reinforcements along the way? Zach Lavine, is he going to play much in the second half? What about Alex Caruso and LaMelo Ball? And then finally, Tristan Thompson is coming to the team by way of a buyout from Indiana. How's that going to play out? All that and more here on Chi-Town Weekly. Buckle it on up. Let's have some fun. And once again, good evening and hello here on Chi-Town Weekly. I am your host, Adam Karnick. I am so glad that you are here with me tonight to talk about sports in the best town in the U.S. Gonna be very, very Bulls heavy in our conversation tonight. We finally reached the All-Star break. How are the Bulls looking coming out of it? DeMar DeRozan was white hot going in. Will he be able to sustain that coming out? Will he need to sustain that, or is he finally going to get some help from the likes of Zach Lavine and Ball and Caruso? Any other help coming down the line? So we will be talking a lot about the Bulls tonight, but we're not going to be exclusively Bulls. We are going to try to mix in some talk with their United Center counterparts, the Chicago Blackhawks. I know the last couple times I've brought up the Hawks, I have had a hard time controlling my emotion. We're going to probably keep that in check tonight. Not nearly as heavy of a Blackhawks story tonight as usual. Maybe even a small glimmer of a sliver of some good things coming from that organization coming down the pipe here with some news from them this morning. And then also, we've got to check in on Major League Baseball because according to the commissioner, if they don't have a deal done by a week from tonight, we might see some regular season games get lost. So where are the owners and the players union at in their negotiations? We will take a quick check in on the MLB before we get out of here tonight. And if there's time, we'll try to check in on the college scene. The Illini still doing great things hoops-wise over on the men's team. And it's going to be hard to get out of here without at least paying a little bit of attention to what's going on over in Ann Arbor with Juwan Howard and the Wolverines and the suspension that came down just about an hour ago dealing with their head coach. All that and a lot more here in tonight's program. I am so excited that you are here with me. Before we get too much further in, though, we do need to acknowledge our sponsors tonight, starting with the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give Semi-Pro Sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Find them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, or Facebook, search Southern California Warriors. And Background Check International. Businesses, are you looking to background check a new hire on? Let Kit Fremen take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him help make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crimes, such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. Go to their website, bcint.com, or search them on Facebook, Background Check International-BCI. And IE Sports Radio is available for you on all of the major platforms. Just search at IE Sports Radio. That'll find us on Twitter, on Instagram, and also Facebook, or go to our website, iesportsradio.com. And when you go to iesportsradio.com, you will find out information about the 30-plus shows that we have going on at the network right now. Obviously, this show, the show that I also do on Tuesday evenings with Zach Puplis, doing talking all things hockey with the Neutral Zone, or like Taryn Rodriguez's Set Point coming up right after us, or SoCal Supreme that he does on Fridays, or Gina's NorCal, repping to NorCal Sports that she does on Tuesdays and then coming up on Fridays, or the Palm 3 Sports, our new Florida show, or any of the other shows we've got going on in the network. You can also learn about our Fan of the Month. Right now, that is Spuds Chat on Twitter. He is a Rams fan living in San Diego, so he has got to be absolutely just over the moon. He maybe has come down a little bit since it has officially now been just a little over a week since the Rams won the Super Bowl. But also while you're there, you can find the link to our Patreon page. And please, if you are at all able, please consider helping us on Patreon. For just $5 a month, you can get started on one of our tiers. This donation gets you a shout out on all of our shows, just like at Bay Area Raised and at MLOS Great. Higher tiers include access to IE Sports Radio merchandise, or our podcasting university, or even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment with Larry B. This helps us to take the next step. We've been on the air now for just about 8 years. The 8-year anniversary is coming up this summer. We are ready to take the next step, continue to bring you material by the fans, for the fans, but bring in more guests, more shows, more opportunities, just to keep giving you the coverage that you, the fans, want and deserve. So please, if you are at all able, consider supporting us on Patreon. It is very much appreciated. And then you can follow along with this show. We are available on Twitter at IESRC, or you can follow along with me personally. I am at Adam_Karnick. And if you are listening live here on this Monday evening, like Taryn Rodriguez, like Gina, hop on into the chat room. There's no cost. It's free. Sign on up. Create yourself a username. We can interact and have some fun in the chat room that way. I see it pop up. I bring them up and we talk about it during the show. Lots of banter that can go back and forth there. Or if you just want to sit back and listen to me and let me entertain you that way, I am here for you in whatever way works best for you. All right. So as Gina and Taryn both bring up the NBA All-Star game and festivities were this past weekend. Whew! I don't know who put it on February 20th on the calendar. My goodness, it felt like it took forever to get there. The Bulls have just 23 games left in their 82-game schedule. That's darn near, we are almost 3/4 of the way through the season. Usually an All-Star break is a halfway marker. I don't know who put it there. We made it. That's the important part. DeMar DeRozan, Zach Lavine got to represent the Bulls. Ayo Dosunmu got to take part in the Rising Stars Challenge. Did injure his thumb a little bit, but Sounds like it's nothing more than it got a little jammed. He should be fine once they restart playing games on Thursday. Most importantly, Zach Lavine, who Gina wishes that he would have been able to take place in the dunk contest. He probably would have helped. That was a bad... Full disclosure, All-Star breaks are wonderful, and they're great, and I love the pageantry and with the exception of baseball trying to insist that it means something, that the sports all say, hey, this is all for entertainment and for your enjoyment and our enjoyment too. I use it as an opportunity to kind of take a break from that sport for a little bit, give myself a few days to kind of catch my breath. I did not watch the dunk contest as it happened, but judging by my timeline on Twitter, no one was happy with it. And the little bit that I have seen and read about it, I wouldn't have been happy with it either. So yeah, Zach Lavine would have definitely spiced things up and made it better. But he's battling a knee injury. It was obviously the right move on his part to not participate in the dunk contest. DeMar DeRozan got to participate in some of the festivities, and he got to participate in the game itself. So good, good fun for them, good fun for him. Of course, with the season that DeRozan is having, where he is legitimately an MVP candidate, he of course deserved to take all kinds of part in the All-Star game, in the All-Star festivities. Now everybody gets to rest up a little bit, catch their breath. The Bulls don't play again until Thursday. They've got the Atlanta Hawks coming up on Thursday. They actually get them twice here within the next week. Here they've got the Hawks on Thursday, and then they'll have the Hawks again. I believe it is March 3rd, so next week Wednesday. So twice within a week on the Hawks. DeMar DeRozan's been tearing things up, and of course he went into the All-Star break white hot, taking a record away from anytime you can get mentioned in the same sentence as Wilt Chamberlain for something that you're doing on the basketball court, you've obviously done something right. DeMar DeRozan, the last game before the All-Star break, scored 38 points and shot made 16 of 27 shots from the field in scoring those 38 points. That was his 7th consecutive game scoring at least 35 while also shooting better than 50% from the floor. He's the first player in NBA history to put up a streak like that. Wilt Chamberlain only did it he was the prior record holder. He was only able to do it for 6 straight games. Now, he did it twice in his career. The last time came in 1963. So almost a 60-year-old record goes down is now held by DeMar DeRozan. I want to read a quote from DeRozan here. Just to be in the record books along with staples of basketball history, I'm speechless. As a kid, as a fan of the history of the game, being in the league as long as I've been in the league, things like that continue to make me even more humble. It's something I'll never take for granted. And the crazy thing is, I feel like I missed 8 easy shots I normally would have made. I feel like I had a bad shooting night, honestly. During this stretch, he's averaged 38.6 points a night, still getting over 5 rebounds a night, and still getting over 5 assists per night while shooting 60% from the floor. In this day and age of Steph Curry teaching the NBA about efficiency. 3 is worth more than 2. And just the explosion of the three-point shooting game from everybody in the league and the near total disappearance of the mid-range game, DeMar DeRozan is unique. I don't want to necessarily say a breath of fresh air because there's people saying he made 16 shots and he only scored 38. Well, man, what the heck? Get some more 3 balls in there. And I'm not willing to refute that argument and say that argument is inherently wrong. But at the same time, there's something to be said for being willing to take what the defense gives you. And teams right now in the NBA are willing to give up mid-range shots because the numbers will tell you they're not great shots to take unless you can hit them and make them count, and DeRozan is hitting them and making them count. It's really cool to see. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be anything that we'll see beyond DeRozan this year. I'm not sure that it's something that you necessarily would want to be teaching players anymore, but it's fantastic to see him taking advantage of the opportunity that defenses are giving him and just elevating his game even that much. The question, though, becomes, DeRozan's an older player. You know, he's in his 30s. Do the Bulls want to have him continue to put up nights like this? Do you even want him shouldering the load? Because the Bulls at this point, the Bulls certainly look like they're going to be in the playoffs. They ought to be able to, they'll hopefully be able to avoid the playoff bubble, that 7 through 10, that play-in tournament for the 7 through 10 seeds to get the last couple spots. Hopefully they'll be able to avoid that. I'm going to go over what they've got upcoming here in their final 23 games here in just a minute. But hopefully DeRozan's going to get some help. Zach Lavine, it sounds like he should be just fine to come back for this Thursday's game against the Hawks. He missed the last few before the All-Star game. Lonzo Ball, I think I accidentally said LaMelo at one point. Lonzo Ball should be coming back here hopefully in the next couple weeks. Alex Caruso has started dribbling. He started resuming some basketball activities, so he could be coming back really soon. There's talk that Patrick Williams, who's been out basically the entire year, that he could come back. He will probably be coming back before the end of the regular season, maybe even yet in March, so he could get some quality time in as much as they can before the season ends so they can make a push for the playoffs. But then, of course, the big news, it technically came down, it became official during the All-Star break on Saturday, but got leaked by the Indiana Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle when he just brazenly told reporters that Tristan Thompson, a player that the Pacers had just acquired in a trade with the Kings. Gina, I know you talked about this trade a little bit on your show and covered it a little bit. I know the Kings aren't necessarily your team. I know you're a Warriors girl, but you do a good job of keeping up with everybody in your area, and that includes the Kings. The Kings traded away Thompson to the Pacers as part of a deal that got the young Sabonis out there to the Kings. Well, Thompson played all of 4 games with the Pacers, and then Rick Carlisle informed everybody, yeah, we're going to be letting Tristan Thompson go. He's instead going to take a little bit of a drive north and play in a city that starts with a C and ends with an O. And then a couple minutes later he said, in case somebody didn't figure that out, that's Chicago. So Rick Carlisle broke the news that the Pacers were going to buy out Thompson's contract and that the Bulls were going to sign him and get him. So Tristan Thompson is coming to town. And this gives the Bulls legitimate depth in their front court. They've got somebody now that you can put Vooch on the bench for a little bit and bring in somebody that has got some defensive prowess. You can come up with some lineups where you could put Vucevic, you can flex Vucevic out to more of a wing position and have Thompson out there, so you can have Vucevic's offense and Thompson's defense out there at the same time if you want to. Though one of the biggest, most glaring needs that the Bulls have had this season, ever since Patrick Williams went down, is not having defense, especially in the backcourt, especially down low at the center or power forward position. I know basketball is kind of becoming positionless and you're grabbing five guys and saying go out there. But in what you traditionally would think of as a power forward or the center position, the Bulls have lacked defense at that spot. They might have that solved now. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting to see what Thompson brings to the table. He can score a little bit. He gives you a little bit of offense. The Bulls don't necessarily need offense. They've got scorers in, obviously, DeMar, Zach, Ball when he's healthy. They've got guys that can get to the rim and can shoot and score. They need help stopping somebody like a Joel Embiid, who has just dominated them every time they've played the Sixers. They need help stopping big guys. They need answers there on the defensive side of things, and we'll see if Thompson is able to give them that. He also gives them some veteran presence and just some leadership. He's a guy that's been to the playoffs a lot. He's been to the finals quite a bit. 4 straight trips to the finals at one point earlier in his career, playing with some other teams. The Bulls are going to need that because you look at this remaining schedule for the Bulls. Of their 23 remaining games, 18 of them are against teams that right now, as we sit here on February 21st, 18 of those 23 games are against teams that right now would be in the playoffs. At the very least, they would find themselves in the play-in tournament, that 7 through 10 seed tournament. And they've got some of them they play multiple times. The Milwaukee Bucks, they play 3 of their final 23 games are against the Bucks, including one next week. The first time the Bucks will have come to the United Center all season long is next week. Gonna be next week Wednesday. That game should be electric. The first time the Bucks have come down, the first time that the Bulls have played the Bucks since the injury to Caruso, I imagine that the Bucks are going to get a very, very rude welcome from the United Center crowd in that game. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. It's a nationally televised game. It's going to be 6:30 on ESPN. Little bit of an earlier start because of that national spotlight. We'll see what that does. We'll see how that plays out for the Bulls in that one. That's a big one to keep an eye on. So 3 times with the Bucks. That's the most of any of their other opponents. But like I said, they play the Hawks twice within the span of a week. They're in the playoffs. They've got a couple of games against the Heat. They play the Cavs a couple of times. They've got some tough games against some playoff teams. Let's see. The Bulls' mettle is going to get tested a little bit here coming down the stretch. We'll see if adding a veteran presence like Thompson helps not just on the court, but with some of the off-court things as well. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, a little bit of news for the other team that inhabits the United Center, the Chicago Blackhawks. And I promise I'm going to try my very best to keep my temper in check when talking about them. The very estranged relationship that we all have sports-wise with the Blackhawks right now. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Right back after this.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You got to check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is your host, Beantown Brandon from Titletown Sports, right here on the greatest, and I mean the absolute greatest podcast team right here on IESR Sports Radio. That's right. Come join me every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live from the greatest city on earth, Boston, Massachusetts, here to talk about all things Boston sports. That is right, baby. We get in to talk about some Boston Red Sox, Boston Celtics, Boston Bruins, New England Revolutions, Boston College Eagles, and of course, your host's favorite team of all, the New England Patriots, baby. Woo! That's right. Come join your host, Beantown Brandon, and let's relive all the glory days of the past, all the great championships that we've endured, all the horrible, heartbreaking losses that even yours truly chooses to forget. So you know what? Grab an ice-cold Samuel Adams. Come with me to Faneuil Hall as we go pick up that lobster roll we've been craving earlier in the week. Let's get some clam chowder, warm ourselves up to some Titletown sports. Any way you like it, we're going to have a blast. So you know what to do. Join your host, Beantown Brandon, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, coming at you from the home and the heartland of Boston, Massachusetts, to represent your New England and Boston sports. Weekly, right here on Titletown Sports, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is Boston sports. See you there.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we're the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
And speaking of our Larry B, he snuck into the chat room while we were getting ready for that break, along with Mike Pat, the host of Let's Whine About Sports. Good evening, gentlemen. So glad that you are here with us. This is, of course, Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Talked a lot about the Bulls there during the first half of the show. Lots of good things from them. We'll see how things wrap up as they get ready for their final push of the regular season. Wanted to kind of switch up gears now, though, and go to that other team at the United Center, the Chicago Blackhawks. Those of you who have been frequent listeners of the show know that right now I am very much on a fractured relationship with the Blackhawks. It's the team that got me to fall in love with hockey, but then with all of the stuff from the Kyle Beach situation, I have had to take a break from them quite a bit. And then a couple of weeks ago, right when I was starting to put my toes back in and try to figure out how my fandom for them felt, then, Rocky Wirtz had to go and just set off a bomb of saying it was nobody's business how they were going to make sure that the Kyle Beach situation never happened again. And then I had to separate myself again from the team, potentially for a while. We'll see. I'm still not sure I want to be there as long as Rocky is still there. But there was oh, thank you, Larry. Larry was appreciative of my Blackhawks rant. It was go back. It was if you missed it, go back. It was a few weeks ago. I want to say it was 2 episodes ago, if I remember right. This is 78. I want to say right around 76 or so. I don't think it was the 75th anniversary show. I think it was 76. Right around there was my rant about Rocky Wirtz and his thoughts on the Blackhawks, and then my thank you, Mike, confirming for me that yes, it was indeed 2 episodes ago, so 2 weeks ago that I had very, very strong thoughts and feelings and opinions on Rocky Wirtz and the state of the Blackhawks. But for right now, they did make news this morning that possibly, if you want to look at it in just the right way and squint your eyes and turn sideways and give them some credit and really think really positive, happy thoughts, might be kind of a push in the right direction here. Another push in the right direction. The big news of the morning was that Bobby Hull, Hockey Hall of Famer, Blackhawks legend, spent 15 years playing for the team, was named a team ambassador back in 2008. The team announced that Bobby Hull is going to finish out the season being a team ambassador, but he will no longer be a team ambassador. The Blackhawks as an organization have said that they are redefining that role of team ambassador. I mean, to be fair, team ambassador is, basically you're a team cheerleader. You go around at various team events, make sure that you shake hands with people that spent a lot of money to the organization, thank them for being there, go to fan rallies, be there, be present with the organization, say nice things about the team, all those kinds of things. There was a team statement that was released, quote, "When it comes to Bobby specifically, we jointly agreed earlier this season that Hull will retire from any official team role." Was released. Bruce Lavine of The Score broke the news this morning. It was actually something that Hull and the Blackhawks agreed on back in November, that he would no longer have any official capacity. Now, the man's 83 years old. He certainly he deserves some kind of a retirement. The way that you can kind of squint and sideways and look at this and with a glimmer of hope wonder that, maybe there's going to be some kind of a glimmer here is because Hull does have some black marks on his record, especially when it comes to physical assaults. He was convicted of assaulting a police officer back in 1986. The officer intervened in a domestic dispute he was having with his wife at the time, Deborah. In fact, he was originally, not only was he charged with assaulting a police officer, he was convicted on that charge. There was a charge of battery levied against him. That charge got dropped because Deborah, who was then his wife, said she didn't want to testify against him. Then he was accused, never charged, but accused of abusing his second wife, Joanne, back in 2002. So he's got some black marks on his record. Now, does anybody really remember him for that? Does anybody remember that specifically when they think of Bobby Hull, when they think of the Blackhawks? Probably not. You're probably instead thinking of the fact that he scored 604, he's over 600 goals, nearly 550 assists over a 15-year career with the Blackhawks. You think about the fact that his sweater number 9 has been retired and is hanging up in the rafters of the United Center. You're not thinking about his off-ice incidents. But maybe it's a tiny step in the right direction. Perhaps. Kind of, sort of. We can only hope. We'll see. We'll see. Meanwhile, the team, of course, the Blackhawks themselves as a team, they're a mess right now. They're just flat out a mess right now. As we sit here towards the end of February, they are in the bottom of the Central Division. 44 points in 52 games. The only team they're better than in the Central Division is the Arizona Coyotes, who, as Zach and I frequently talk about on Neutral Zone, we love bringing up the Coyotes because they're kind of the little redheaded stepchild of the NHL. Nobody owns them. Nobody wants them. Now the Coyotes can't even have their own stadium anymore. That's the only team that the Blackhawks are better than. Yes, Taryn enjoying how my voice just kept getting higher and higher in pitch there. I'm trying really hard to give the Blackhawks any kind of benefit of the doubt. I really am, because when it comes down to it, I really do enjoy the sport of hockey. There's a reason now that I do a second show every week with my buddy Zach, which shameless plug for a moment, if you are at all a fan of hockey, great. Check us out Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock Central. If you kind of know that there's a puck and it sometimes winds up in the back of the net and then everybody kind of gets loud and cheers, great. Come on, check out the show. We talk hockey, but we talk all kinds of other stuff too while we're there. Our primary goal is to make sure that everybody winds up having a good time and maybe learns a little bit about hockey along the way. So check us out. But I really want to enjoy hockey. I really do. So I want the Blackhawks to be in a position where I can feel good about turning on my television, finding the Blackhawks, and just sitting back and watching a hockey game. And that the only reason I get frustrated would be because the team is doing poorly on the ice. I long for those days. I crave those days when it comes to the Blackhawks. I'd love for my frustration with them to simply be because they're 18, 26, and 8, and damn it, why can't they score? I'd love for that to be the biggest problem with the Blackhawks organization, that Taves is completely washed up and seemingly done as a center, and that Patrick Kane, while he's still good, Superman just can't do it by himself anymore. He's got to get more help, and these young kids have got to find their way and figure out their way a little bit. I'd love for that to be my only gripe with the team. Unfortunately, right when I start to think that that's going to happen, they go and shoot themselves in the foot. So I'm really hoping, I really want this to be some kind of glimmer of a sign. So that's why I'm projecting a little bit and hoping and maybe, sort of, possibly, this will turn out into something good. We'll see. From projecting hope to, I don't know if there's any way I can project hope onto this next situation. We are going to take one more break, and then, speaking of projecting frustration, we have got to check in on the Major League Baseball labor discussions and see, are we going to have baseball anytime this season? We'll find out. We got one more segment before we turn things over to Taryn. Taryn is going to be talking about Loyola's volleyball team this week because they pulled off several upsets over the weekend. So we want to make sure we get out of here right on time so we can hear from Taryn. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Right back after this.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development, but we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest owners. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Motorsports takes many form, and there's one show on IE Sports Radio that's ready to cover it all.
I sure hope you're talking about you and I, Daryl, because I know the Extra Mile is the best place to go for everything motorsports related.
Yes, it is. From NASCAR to IndyCar to sports cars to everything in between, IE Sports Radio has everything covered for the fastest sport in the world.
Plus, don't forget all of our random shenanigans along the way.
That's right, Caitlin. So for plenty of motorsports coverage and plenty of Caitlinisms, check out The Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Caitlin Seen, Thursdays at 8 p.m.
What is going on, everybody? This is Ben Matello, the host of the Yinza Report, right here on IE Sports Radio. I'm bringing you the latest in the Steel City, the City of Champions, from the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, as well as the college game with both Penn State and Pitt. You could join me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, where I'll be talking about everything from the Steel City, the City of Champions, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. One more quick segment before we get out of here tonight and make way for Taryn Rodriguez and Set Point. I know he's going to be talking about the Loyola volleyball team. They pulled off a couple of upsets last week, beat 14th ranked Ohio State, and then followed that up by beating 7th ranked Ball State. So be sure to stick around and listen to Taryn Rodriguez on Set Point, talking all things volleyball. All right, before we got out of here tonight, I did want to check in on the Major League Baseball meetings between players and owners. We talked a little bit about it last week. They had a meeting last week. It lasted all of 15 minutes. What's even the point? You sit down, you say, hello, have you changed anything in your proposal? No. Have you changed anything in yours? No. Okay, well, I guess we're done. See you later. It's probably about how it went, only they had to use, lawyer language or something to make it last 15 minutes. As we were doing the show, some word came across from ESPN. Jesse Rogers put out a quick story. It was about 7:15 tonight, putting it out, that the two sides, they met today. That was scheduled. They met for at least 5 hours. All right, that's progress in and of itself. They lasted longer than 15 minutes today. Doesn't necessarily look like they made a whole lot of progress. They still have about a half dozen things that they're debating back and forth. How big the playoffs should be, when players become free agents, how do we avoid having teams tank, all these kinds of things. The league did move a little bit on some things. The players are trying to create a pre-arbitration pool. Basically, it's a pool of money available to players in their first or second year of being in the big leagues, that they can take this money and distribute it to those players to go above and beyond their salary. Because what's happening is a lot of players are way outperforming what they're being paid. And the players know this. They know that the sport is bringing in more money, so they're trying to get some more of that money to go to the players. The union wants it to be at least $100 million. Their current one was $115 million. The league has agreed to up it to $20 million. All right. That's up from 5. So that's progress, I suppose. So now the league feels it's the union's turn. All right, okay. That makes sense. We gave you something, now give us something. To try to fix this. Commissioner Manfred had said last week that if they don't have a deal in place by February 28th, then regular season games might get lost. We've already lost spring training games through March 5th, through the end of next week. And if we don't have, and I'm sure that number is going to change for every day that we don't have an agreement, they're just going to go deeper and deeper into spring training without having games. And if we don't have a deal, realistically, by the time we go on the air next week, then there's the very distinct possibility that the regular season's going to get affected in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't doubt that somehow they'll figure out a way to cram 162 games into the schedule in some way, shape, form, or fashion. As long as there's physically 162 days on the calendar, they'll figure out a way to play 162 games. But I don't have a whole lot of optimism that they're going to get the deal done by next week. We'll see. The league made a couple of moves. Let's see how the players respond. Let's see if the players move on any of this stuff. We'll take a look. We'll see. Maybe the players will move on some things. Maybe the players will come down on some stuff. Hopefully they can find some middle ground here by next Monday so that the MLB regular season will get off without a hitch, hopefully. Because it's a sport that can't stand to alienate too many more fans as it is. They're in danger of losing a bunch that they have. All right, that's going to do it for our show this week. As we come back next week, of course, we will have more on the MLB discussions because next week is Manfred's cutoff day. The day that he said they had to have something in place in order to make sure that the regular season went off without a hitch. So we will be talking a lot more about Major League Baseball and its labor discussions next week. Next week, we will also, of course, be discussing some college basketball because the Illini are making some moves here in the Big Ten. The Paul women are doing good things. Northwestern is being Northwestern. We will check in on the college basketball landscape across the city and across the state. Be sure to stick around for Taryn Rodriguez again on Set Point. He's going to be talking about Loyola's volleyball teams, how well they've been doing. They're getting ready for volleyball tournament season coming up very soon as well. So be sure to stick around for Taryn on Set Point. Thank you to our sponsors this evening, the Southern California Warriors and Background Check International, for continuing to sponsor not just this show, but all of the shows that we have here on IE Sports Radio. It is very appreciated. You really do help keep the lights on for us. It is much appreciated. And be sure, please, if you are at all able, go check out our Patreon link. And please, if you are at all able, consider becoming our Patreon supporter, just like Bay Area Raised and MLO's Great. We really would appreciate your help, and you get something out of it too. We make sure that we try to take care of you, our fans, the best way that we can. Thank you to Larry for all the hard work he does, not only keeping all the shows going, but adding new talent constantly to the network. We really do appreciate that. Thank you also for hopping into the chat room tonight. Thank you to Taryn and Gina and Mike for being here tonight in the chat room. I really do appreciate it. Makes it go a lot more smoothly, a lot more fun. Finally, thank you for coming and listening, whether it was live or later on as a podcast. We really do appreciate it. For IE Sports Radio, I am Adam Karnick. We will see you all next week.